everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashley and today we are going to be embarking on my 4th year working on the Pan Those Eyeshadows Project Pan. I can't believe I've been doing this for 4 years now and that I still have so much love for this project. This is an eyeshadow based project pan where I'm just trying to hit pan on stuff. This is a project that was created quite a few years ago now by Alexy. She will be linked in my description box below. However, I discovered this project and Alexy by extension because of Rebecca Morgan. Love that girl so much. She will be linked in my description box below as well, because if you have not discovered either of these fabulous ladies, I really highly encourage that you do. Alexy took a little bit of a break, but she's slowly working her way back in. Rebecca Morgan is full steam ahead, so you've got a lot to binge on there. Also, if you enjoy this project, there are so many people that do this project, and I think the reason that it has gotten just so much traction, so much love, is because it's just so flexible. I have so many friends here in the painting community, and I can tell you, no two of us are doing our projects in exactly the same way. You can tailor this project to anything that is going to work for you, for your goals, for your collection, for your project panning style, whatever that case may be, this project lends itself. So, love it so much. Speaking of tailoring it, let's talk about how I'm personally going to be structuring my project this year. Many of these are going to be carryovers from years prior. So if you've been following this project, you guys know that I don't work on matte black eyeshadows. I also really don't like to include matte whites or kind of cream colored, skin colored eyeshadows. I just don't feel like they're fun to update. I still use them every day, but I don't want to update you every month on basically what I use to set down my eyeshadow base. That's just me. I also do not wear pressed glitters. ColourPop, looking at you. So I will not be including any pressed glitters. If I were to get any of those shades, then I will re-roll to replace it. Also, if any of the shades are duplicates, if I get, for instance, 2 mid-tone matte browns, I'm not going to work on both of them. I will re-roll one of them. The whole purpose of this project is to have fun with it. Have fun with your makeup. Think outside of the box. Do other things. And to start bringing in palettes that maybe you haven't worked on in a while. So really just trying to make it a lot of fun. In that sort of vein, while my ultimate goal is, of course, to hit pan on as many eyeshadows as I can, I'm also not going to work on an eyeshadow for 4, 6, 7, 8 months if I'm struggling to hit pan. So I have the ability to roll out an eyeshadow if I've used it 30 times. I feel like kind of a good average for hitting pan is about 30 uses. So if after 30 uses, either pan is right around the corner or it is just not going to happen. So I give that sort of flexibility to myself. I also am going to, just like last year, allow myself 4 vetoes. And I can use them at any time. If I roll a shade and I just know immediately I have no desire to work on that, I can veto it out. If I've worked on it for a month or 2 and I'm just not enjoying it, I can veto it out. I don't think I used all 4 vetoes last year, so I'm hoping that I won't use them all again this year, but we'll just have to wait and see. So this year, I think I'm going to work on 5 eyeshadows at a time. However, I was watching my girl, Ruth Foley. I will have her linked in the description box below, but when I was watching her intro video, she did something that was so freaking smart and I'm totally copying it. So she decided that one of her eyeshadows was going to come from an eyeshadow palette that she already had going on in another project, and I thought that was just genius. You can end up getting, especially if you're like me and are involved in a lot of different projects, you can end up with 5, 6, 7 eyeshadow palettes, and then it's kind of overwhelming, and you end up with eyeshadow palettes that have one shade that is super worn down and nothing else looks touched at all. So I am going to choose 4 shades at random, and then the 5th shade is going to come from one of the eyeshadow palettes that I already have going in a project. Now, obviously, this will change month to month, but I think that it gives a lot more space on my desk where I get ready, but also it's gonna help kind of repurpose and kind of double duty a few things so that, you know, I'm getting more out of my eyeshadow palettes rather than individual shades. I hope that makes sense. So let's talk about my spreadsheet, because it definitely looks a lot different than it did when I finished out this project last year. When I did my inventory, I found so many eyeshadow palettes that I'd had for like years that somehow never made it onto my spreadsheet. And I don't know why, but I did go through and I'm pretty sure I have all of them on there now. So you're gonna see a pretty big number jump. It's just because I tried to get organized. Now there is one palette that is not going to be on this spreadsheet yet, and that is my Blend Bunny Cosmetics The Dollhouse palette. That is the newest palette to my collection, and I am absolutely loving it so much. I'm making videos with it. I'm trying to create content with it. I'm not ready to put it into my projects quite yet, but that is, at least I'm pretty sure, the only palette that is not included on the spreadsheet. So enough rambling for me. You guys are probably like, all right, speed it up, fast forward. Let's go ahead, and I have all of my variables put into my pretty random app. I have variables 2 through 2264. I know. Okay, so we're gonna do 4 rules. So 1767, 1830, 2108, and 1646. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go find those eyeshadows, and then we'll take a look at the first 4 that we are going to be working on. All right, we are back, and I don't want to jinx anything, but the panning gods so far are favoring me, because this color story is off to, in my opinion at least, an awesome start. So let's go ahead and talk about what I rolled. The very first shade that I rolled, number 1767, comes from my ABH Soft Glam palette. I have not used this nearly enough, which is kind of a common theme amongst all of my eyeshadow, but I drew this shade right here, Cypress Umber. It's this really beautiful chocolatey brown matte. I am happy about this. The next shade that I drew also is from ABH, and it is from my Sultry palette, which is honestly neck and neck for my favorite ABH palette of all time. It's neck and neck with the Jackie Aina palette. Love both of these so much. The shade that we drew in this is the shade right here called Twig. It's this kind of taupey, grayish brown sort of color. Very excited to have both of these palettes out to be using. Really happy. The next shadow comes from this palette right here. And you guys, I don't know if I've really talked about this on my channel at all. I love this palette. I know Lime Crime is questionable at best, but I love this palette. So the shade that we were selected is this shade right here called Locust. There we go. It's a very reflective packaging. Very sorry about that. But really happy to be working on that. And then when we talk about questionable brands, we have my KVD Saints and Sinners palette. I do not know when I've used this last. So the 4th shade that was randomized for us is this shade right here called Cathedral. It is this really sparkly, purpley, kind of lilac gunmetal gray sort of color. Really pretty. And this is what my current color story is looking like. I'm stoked. I know that sounds crazy, but last year I have been working on so many just really bright, redundant colors that ever since my projects wrapped up at the end of December, I have just been wanting neutral look after neutral look after neutral look. And we haven't, but we're gonna we might blow it up a little bit because now we have to choose our 5th shade. And I decided that, and I've been staring at these palettes for a while. I'm just redoing my numbers real quick. I decided that I'm not gonna randomize the palette. I'm just gonna pick the palette, but I am gonna randomize the shade because I couldn't find a shade in one of these palettes that I wanted to work with. So first of all, I did not want to pull anything from my Tartelette and Bloom palette. Tarte shadows, they're just so deep and so firmly pressed that it would be in here for an eternity. Also, the shadows that are in here are going to be very, very similar to the first few shadows that I already pulled. So there was just way too much crossover, and so I decided to pull that one out. So that means that it was down to one of these 2 palettes. And I looked a lot at this Nomad palette. I really did. I don't know how deep these shadows go, but there are some just beautiful, beautiful choices in here. I just couldn't think of what I wanted to try to hit pan on that would complement this sort of kind of cooler, neutral color story. So I decided, you know what? Let's go with this palette right here. Also, a ton of really bright colors. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But a lot of these are very shifty, sort of taupery shades. So I'm hoping that this will be a smart pick. I couldn't figure out what shade I necessarily wanted to pick, so I did put back into my pretty random app. I put in variables 1 through 12. The really big half moon towards the bottom is a face highlight, and I don't want to mess with that. So, shade number 11. I think I know what that one is. Okay, I can live with that. So 11 is this shade right here. This is the shade called Artist Pass. Let me put a swatch there. Yeah, I think that'll work out. I think that'll work out. Build it up a little bit. So it is this sort of blue-based, reddish, purpley duochrome right there. So I think that's a fun color story. I think January is off to a magnificent start. I'm really happy with this. I am really, really happy with this. So, how do you feel? Do you like this color story? Are you participating in this project? I would really love to know. And what are your thoughts on sort of my new rules that I've put in place for myself this year? Please let me know down in the comments below. As always, everything that I am wearing is going to be linked in the description box below. And if you have not yet subscribed, I hope that you will consider doing so. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope that you're having an amazing day. And I will see you next time. Bye.